Hello, everybody, and good morning. So you know what? This morning when I woke up and checked my phone, I expected a lot of things, but this was not one of them. So we got version 94 of One Vision that just came out, and yeah, there's a lot of cool new nifty stuff as per usual. So, kind of a brief Cliff Notes version. Dragonborn happened. Chaos Chapter 2 happened, as well as a bunch of like a ton of miscellaneous stuff. Also, there's a cat behind me, just giving me a tail all of a sudden. Anyhow, so let's go ahead and get into this here. As per usual, you know, new numbered one on the list here, another rung on the ladder. So if you run into any kind of glitches or bugs, feel free to let Mr. Rakes know so that he can do something about it. Anyway, moving on here. So, starting with the general section. So, continued with incremental upgrades to story battles in the same fashion as the changes to Act 1, this time completing Act 2 on Chaos Path. Most notably, you'll see more enemies wearing jewelry, and the battles with demi-humans will have more diverse classes, so you'll be able to see the likes of the Patriarch or the Trickster. So yeah, get to see new classes there, get to see more characters with accessories and all that. Should make them a bit more tricky, a bit more interesting. Next up, special characters obtained along the way have a few more weapon choices. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but I guess we'll see. I'm assuming that means skills that they've learned. Anyway, tweaked Act 1 encounter slightly, fixed a few inconsistencies, and added another Necromancy book as a guaranteed drop from Quadriga Battle. It's the female ghost in the starting lineup. I'm assuming this is maybe to cut... Well, for one thing, it was already mentioned that there would be another Necromancy ability added. I don't know what that ability is yet. I actually have not had a chance to go do that fight yet. This thing literally came out a few hours ago. It's like I just woke up and like, oh crap, there's a new vision! Or new One Vision. But I'm assuming another little side thing from that ghost there is because you could basically just rush in through Quadriga, and you know there really wasn't much for folks that wanted to stick around in the fight to try to get more stuff. So that gives you a nice little side objective there, whatever that one happens to be. Removed Sarah and Voltaire from the Quadriga cutscene, as there's currently no way to match their cutscene appearance to defaults. They don't say anything, and Leonard doesn't refer to them individually anymore, so they weren't contributing much to the scene. And yeah, that's actually something I've seen come up in comments a good bit. The folks are having an issue that they didn't exactly match up. Now, in the older version of Sarah, my personal take on it was that she basically got sick of Leonard and threw her uniform away and just kind of stripped down to something a little bit different. Made her own custom uniform. I'm hoping that makes a comeback someday, but either way, still makes sense. Hopefully it addresses some of those complaints there. Anywho, equipment-wise, claws, daggers, 1H axe side grades. I'm just gonna say light axes, heavy axes, spears, hammers, instruments, blowguns, throwing weapons, light bows, light crossbows, and boulders are lighter to more closely adhere to their real-world weight in most cases. I'm assuming this is, especially the boulders, I'm assuming that's to make some of those beast classes a good bit faster, because some of them did get weighed down pretty heavily when they went for the ranged attacks. Starting, heavy swords are renamed to stick closer with common terminology. We'll actually go and check on that in a little bit. Staff side grades are heavier, but also offer a resistance bonus. One-hand guns are heavier. Alright. Didn't expect one-handed guns to get heavier. Alright. So non-elemental caster staves have 1 to 2 uses of spellcraft instead of charging 25 MP. Yeah, this was another one that came out the other day, since staves are kind of the damage option. Whereas books, like it says here, spellbooks are lighter and have free uses of meditate to reinforce the role of the mana booster. So yeah, basically the books are, I believe they actually had an MP boost on there, but yeah, the idea is supposed to be that, yeah, the books are the defensive, kind of regenerate option, the stabs are kind of the, going out and attacking option, so we'll see how that goes. Crossbow side grades hit harder and cost less RT to fire. Also good. Should probably make some of those rail bows a bit more usable. Which, I don't know, personally I thought rail bows were pretty strong, so I guess we'll see how that goes. So this is one that I never would have expected here. So consumables. Add a new consumable called Death March. It's a suicide pill that will remove any and all lives from the user, effectively killing them after the battle is over. Use only if you have a literal death wish. Extremely handy if you aren't a fan of being imprisoned and interrogated, but it has other uses too. Crafted with Ways of the Wild, or rarely found as an endgame random drop. So yeah, this is for folks that wanted to move all of their, essentially they wanted to do the whole thing where let's say you go recruit a random character, you want to get their skills off onto a rookie, or maybe, like, let's say one of those popular things was always to recruit lands over and over to give everyone rank 4 parry in the end game. Poor guy, poor guy. They go back in time just to save him, and then they just repeatedly kill him off over and over so they can learn his parry skills. But anyway, that guy just does not have a good time in this game at all. Poor bastard. So yeah, that one will essentially render the character dead immediately instead of doing the whole awkward thing of going into 3 consecutive fights and letting them get killed off and time out over and over and over. Essentially speeding up that process. It's something that has been requested for a while now. So there we go. It's in there. Next up, skills. Level requirement for Wade was lowered. It should make some early missions with a lot of water less of a pain. Also, definitely good because you realistically would use a Wade a lot earlier. It's interesting. Like, there's a lot of water maps early in the game. You had no Wade early in the game, and then like later in the game, there's like one map. The one in the canyon. That's kind of a big thing to have Wade for. Like, I remember in vanilla, one thing that always frustrated me was if you were going to go do the Fusilier side quest there was a very decent chance that the octopi would just go hide out in the ocean. It's like, okay, well, I have nobody with Wade, so I guess I'll just kind of sit here, just hoping they wander into range at some point and end up, just sitting there for an hour. Which, yeah, actually happened on more than a few runs. Anyhow, so Meditate is now available to wizards and some special classes. Other generic classes have all different options. So yeah, everyone's got a different approach to MP generation now. But yeah, I don't know which special classes got it, but it's supposed to be a wizard thing. Like, for example, you've got Warlock, they're the item specialists, so they can basically generate an MP lead. You have your, which this will get covered later, but Necromancers have the ability to conserve their MP. I mean, everybody's got different stuff. I forget what the others are off the top of my head. Let's see, with Casho, with the Princess there, she's got the MP sapping move. I believe I don't use the Heretic very much. I should probably use them on my next run through, but I believe they also had a I forget what their sapping move was. It works a little bit differently. She has 2 different flavors of sapping moves. Either way, they are pretty freaking useful. Anyhow, so next one here. Add a new skill, Bullseye, a ranger skill that does pretty much the same thing as Fated Circle, but for ranged weapons. So that should be handy for his longbow builds. Added a new skill, Fusroda. It's a war shout that does a minor amount of crushing damage to enemies in the area around the user, and knocks them back in the direction that the user is facing, which can be altered by targeting different tiles. Usable while silenced. So, yeah, that implies exactly what you think it implies. Added a new skill called Blood Magic. It converts 10% of the user's HP to MP, but its other costs are very low. Alrighty then. So yeah, it's just a quick little regeneration move for MP. So Wizards lost Conserve MP. It was a bit redundant because yeah, you would always end up just using Meditate. Cleric gained access to spellbooks. So, actually, on the above, I should probably mention that yes, Conserve MP is a bit redundant there. Meditate was a little bit slower to use, but realistically, most folks ended up using Meditate just because you got more out of it. Anyhow, so Cleric gained access to spellbooks, Spellblade gained access to daggers, Dragoon gained access to cudgels. That should be interesting. Yeah, I could definitely see a few potential uses for a magical Dragoon then. So yeah, you can make that happen. Because yeah, with Dragoons, generally speaking, you wouldn't necessarily specialize in their like missile casting abilities. But yeah, if you end up giving them a staff, they end up getting spellcraft. They can actually do a pretty solid amount of damage with that, especially with bursts, which those got buffed also, so that will be available down. We'll be getting to that down the line. So yeah, caster Dragoons should be a decent bit stronger with cudgels, because they would still do decent damage with Dragon and Beast Slayer, just because it just ignores defense entirely, so they do a crap load of damage anyway. So yeah, that should be interesting. Gotta give that a try as well. Rogues gained access to light swords and field alchemy too. I believe that was that was something that was mentioned a good while ago. So just so you know, light swords on them are not necessarily super amazing, but it's just something believable that they would have access to. They're not necessarily better than daggers. It's just kind of a different option if that's the kill move set that you prefer. So Beast Tamer gained access to daggers, Warlock gained access to instruments. They're worldly fellows, fairly proficient with exotic weapons in general, and perfectly capable of strumming a few chords from Temple of the King right before raiding it. Fair enough. So yeah, get bards in there. Necromancer lost access to meditate and gained access to conserve MP. Hoplite gained access to fists and daggers. Patriarch lost light armor and meditate. Actually, completely forgot that Patriarch and meditate. But gained access to heavy accessories, fists, light axes, light hammers, and throne. Can learn blood magic. So yeah, the Patriarch, they're going to generally be tougher anyway. His stats are skewed more heavily towards strength than dex. That'll make more sense in a little bit too. But yeah, in general, it seems like he should be able to afford the blood magic cost because he should have more health and more vitality in general. Anyhow, moving on, Warden can use Squash, nothing too amazing there, but it's alright. Added the Dragonborn class. It can equip light armor and light and heavy accessories, but no weapons or shields except for Beastmaster tokens and boulders. Which I should mention, if you give them, if you just leave them completely unarmed, they do slightly more than like a one-handed katana kind of thing. So they do a pretty solid amount of damage. Anyhow. So, no weapons or shields, etc. Being half-dragon, this warrior counts as a human in form, but is prohibited from learning neither racial skills, and is also able to learn draconic magic. So yeah, they are this one is basically unique to Oshone. I use some cheats to put that on other people, so if you use the any class, any character cheat, there is actually a unique sprite for it, so you can add it to everybody in case you're wondering about the new stuff here. So yeah, they're able to learn Draconic, limited to Agony and most utility and buff skills, so, you know, pretty usual there. Instill Elements, Rampart Aura, 1, 2, and 3, a general skill set similar to that of the Dragoon. Recruit, Tame, Empower Dragon, Dragon Slayer, Dash, Dragon Breath 1 and 2, Booster Gun is able to use Squash if learned. Dragonborn quest marks can currently be crafted with Transcription, but will eventually drop in more accessible places, presumably with her fight, if I were to guess. You generally would find that pretty late in the game, so that's nice. Ranger gained access to Bullseye. Actually, come to think of it, for the Dragonborn thing, I wonder if any other characters can get it. Like, it'd be kind of hilarious to see Gamp get it, except you can't unlock it by getting it. He just meets up with Oshone one day. It's like, oh wait, I can do this. I can do this cool crap too. It would possibly explain his weird powers earlier in the story. Anyhow, so Ranger gained access to Bullseye. That's the guaranteed shot move. Priest gained access to spellbooks. That. Okay, you know what? Good. That is a solid competitor to the Claw and Shield build. Like, I will say, when it came to defensive Priest build, the Claw and Shield was always my preference, just because it gave him, you know, evasion and all that kind of thing. It was kind of my go-to. It was lightweight, gave him evasion, you know, just generally helped him be survivable. That gives him access to an MP regeneration mode, which could be pretty darn handy. Anyhow, so Paladin gained access to fists, daggers, and light and heavy katanas. Interesting on that one. Alright, anyway, White Knight gained access to cudgels. I can't really say why, but alright. Shaman gained access to instruments. Wow, I cannot speak today. I apologize. Shaman gained access to instruments mainly as an homage to some of their artwork. Now, if you will excuse me just one moment, I will be right back. Alrighty, well, that'll happen when you're doing things semi-live here. Anyway, moving right along on this list. So next up, what do we have here? Shaman gained access to instruments mainly as an homage to some of their artwork. Which, if you've never seen that one, there is actually a very nice picture out there. Essentially, he's referring to the picture of the four Brain sisters, the Shaman sisters and all that, all sitting around with instruments. That was part of the art book that came with some versions of the game. Anywho, moving on here. Yeah, there's not necessarily too much of a reason to get an instrument, but it's cool. So, spells and active skills. Projectile spells, rank 4, can be crafted with Ars Magna. This is probably to make it a bit easier to get a hold of them, because they were a little bit of a pain before. Alright, so, well, before as in always, because you have to go through San Bronza for a lot of them, and let's just say they're a lot more sensible than Ars Magna now. Burst spells now only hit enemies. This is what I was saying was a massive buff to bursts here. That will make them a lot more utilitarian, and especially when I'm thinking Cudgel Dragoons with Spellcraft on there, that should be absolutely devastating. Anyway, Curse now also removes 40 TP on hit. Okay, very handy. Could be a good shutdown move there for some casters. Pumpkin Strike is non-elemental. Pumpkin Bomb was reverted to its original behavior as the AI could not be cajoled into using it properly. It removes 3/4 of the user's current HP and all TP to deal crushing damage in a large area. So we'll see how that goes. As long as the AI knows how to use it now. So racial templates, as per community poll, Hawkmen can also change their class to Fusilier. So yeah, all of you Flash Gordon fans out there, there you go. The Argonians and/or Lizardmen can become rogues and orcs and can be beast tamers. This brings their class count up to the intended total, since they were all supposed to have the same amount of classes across the board in order to make them all, viable in their own way. Oshonen can uniquely change your class into a Dragonborn. Lizardmen have higher dex, agility, and avoidance, but lower strength, intelligence, and mind. Which, that should help out a lot with the whole Fusilier thing, by the way. Lizards can also become them. Generally speaking, if you, one of my favorite builds for them was the Shield and Pistol, which, it works, but at the same time they were pretty weak with it, so it's nice to see them get a little bit more dex. That should help out with that somewhat. I should point out, even before, it was still viable. That's why it wound up being one of my preferred builds for them, just because they could really get in close. Anyway, so as fully changing cutscene sprites proved to be more troublesome than expected, Fulkurt's battle and formation sprite got reverted to match them. Maybe changing it will become possible at a later date. So yeah, he's back. He should be back to Pimp Knight Fulkurt, I believe. I guess we'll see. Deneb Shop will now stock on some low-level necromancy spells, and we'll take a look at those as well. So, let's go ahead and just a couple things on the screen here, namely go back to this thing. Do you want to remove this window capture? Hell yeah, I do. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these new nifties. So, like I said, I went ahead and just popped some cheats in there to make this a little bit easier to test, so we're going to go ahead and get these guys going here. So this is the new Dragonborn class that I forgot to equip. Well, I forgot to equip Pabrim. Good job, good job. I will point out this dragon is way weaker than it should be right now because it's just a rando ninja I turned into a dragon. Ignore that. Anyhow, let's see, skill-wise, we got so this was the first one. I just put whatever was most convenient on them. 50 TP on the Fusilier thing. It's basically a nice little AoE move there. Rampant Aura, Dragon Slayer, Dash, Counterhit, pretty much exactly what they were saying earlier. They are a dragon-person hybrid. That so far seems like it could be very, very interesting to use. So I wanted to give them 3 of them, or I wanted to make 3 of them in order to have the ability to get to that ability as quick as possible. And I figured Felicia should be one of the characters that got converted into one, because why the hell not? Now, yeah, the white berserker there is that whole kind of generic Dragonborn look kind of situation. So yeah, he actually found a sprite that matched up with Oshonen's. He's just gonna go ahead and dodge. Yeah, I have to say their stats seem pretty fantastic. Like for comparison, let's see, who was it here? I think it was you. So yeah, it's attack score of 400, whereas a ninja pretty much at the exact same level with a pretty decent set of equipment was about 370 with a one-handed katana there. Now, that doesn't tell the full story though. I should probably point out because more than likely that was a little bit under level. Or their equipment was a little bit behind the curve, because I basically just went and upgraded everybody from 22 straight up to level 30 so that we could get a better idea of how this class goes. So yeah, take that with a little bit of a different grain of salt here. Also, by the way, all these guys should have had Beastmaster tokens. I actually forgot about that when I was equipping them. So yeah, but they can still do a decent amount, even completely unarmed here. So just shy of being able to use that. Not enough TP. Wait a minute. Oh, it uses MP also. Okay, I see. I've seen it. So let's go ahead and slap that magic leap on there. Ooh, I guess we'll be able to test that out as well. So there we go. Let's go ahead and charge her up. Do all that kind of thing. And yeah, we'll be checking out the map shop. We'll be checking out that two-handed sword that got renamed, because I'm assuming it got renamed to just like longsword or greatsword or something. Probably, if I were to guess. Now, I will say so far with this one, it's kind of looking like they might be viable as a completely unarmed unit to walk a little bit faster. It's unclear, but it does seem relatively possible. Ignore the underpowered dragon over here; they're mostly your flavor. Such things will happen. All right, let's go ahead and probably go punch this one. There we go. And right, they need the MPs. by the way, if you didn't know, actually I saw a few folks that missed this out of the last patch. So both light and dark dragons actually have casting abilities now. So that's been around since version 93, but I've noticed that not many folks brought it up, so it's there. It's nice. Now, let's go ahead and nah, I don't want to test that on Felicia. She's too good. There you go, give you some gift of renewal here. So yeah, AoE regen on a tank. That's pretty solid, I gotta say. Alright, so let's test this out. Not enough TP. No, that's... Alright, well, that's alright. We gotta report that into Mr. Rakes here. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be working quite as intended. That's alright. That's why we test these things. Alright, so let's go ahead and retreat then. I was hoping to show off its effects, but it's alright. We'll figure that out. Alright, so first up, where is the Neb's shop these days? So yeah, I would expect a version 94A coming out pretty dang quickish for fixing that up. Alrighty, where is it? I know you're in here, lady. Oh, wait a minute. Come to think of it, did I ever even activate the store in this particular save file? Because I really might not have. Yeah, actually might not have. I might have to go to the other, to another save file. Because if you completely skip over that news, I'm actually not sure if it goes and updates her. That's right. We have another save file for this exact reason. Actually, for many reasons, but whatever. So let's go ahead and go over here. Alright, now, where is the Neb these days? Wait a minute. Oh, no, it's the news story. It's the hell is it? Yeah, it's a news story that tells where exactly she is at the moment. So first things first, let's go ahead and look at... Oh, well, here she is. So, don't need to look it up at all. So necromancy-wise, we got Living Corpse, Banish, Curse, and Rebuild. So your basic necro set. Sounds good there. And now we can just go ahead and hop over to another store to see what else is going on. I'm not sure why my emulator is chipping and chopping at the moment, but okay. Alright, and then two-handed, yeah. Longsword and Warblade is what got changed there. This used to be broadsword and longsword, so there we go. I think, hang on, so what became the broadsword then? Is there one of these that's a broadsword now? Okay, I should probably explain what the story is behind that a little bit. So historically speaking, and yeah, definitely looks like weight's been dropped across the board on a lot of things. So historically speaking, the whole categorizations for like longsword, broadsword, whatever else, most of that crap's a modern thing. Like, most of the time back then, it was like longsword is just a longer sword. You know, generally speaking, it was like anything that you literally just held in two hands and had a longer blade. And then like, okay, we need different categorizations. So ultimately, it was just like people looked at a sword and they're like, it's a sword. Then modern times we need more categories for stuff, so like long swords, like I said, were long blade, two hands. Then D&D stepped in and was like, this is one-handed now. Anyway, anyhow, so you had great swords that were kind of the gigantic ones that were kind of unwieldy. That doesn't mean they were slow by any means, but still kind of unwieldy. You had your bastard swords, which were basically a shorter blade but still a longer handle. I mean, your arming ones that were just basically a really short handle. Medium-length sword, broadswords were just basically more of a wider blade kind of situation, but then that one also varied a ton. So, again, we just love categorizing things, and then oftentimes have way too many categories and stuff can fit into. So that is a whole clustercluck, but long story short, it is a longsword. Basic two-handed sword. It's a longsword now. And then the Warblade is kind of just the heavier variant, kind of an upgrade there. Which, yeah, longswords were also sometimes called, well, generally speaking, when swords went to the more heavier side, they started getting called war blades and things like that, war swords. Again, it was just at that point where shields started becoming redundant, so they're like, okay, we're already wearing the shields with armor and everything, so they're just, need bigger swords. Let's make bigger weapons now to get, try to just do more damage. See if we can actually sometimes circumvent all this armor and everything else. And so yeah, then you get your war swords. You get you get your heavier pole arms and things like that. Yeah. Funnily enough, it landed on the rapier. That thing was definitely not used to slip around armor gaps, which they love to put in this series. It was mostly just a personal defense thing, but anyhow, that's a whole friggin' thing. There's so much, so much stuff as far as, categorization and historical stuff and whatever else. Let's just not even get into that. So, point being, version 94, it's out. Go get it. It's great. And yeah, I'll immediately go send a message to Rakes here to go fix Busordasa. Hopefully, by the time this goes up, there's already an updated version for 94A. Anyway, see you guys soon. Take care.